and welcome to Dream It, Dare It, Do It, Live the Life You Want. I'm Jasmine, a transformative coach, loves to talk about, living the life you want. Thus, the podcast. And this is Booty, my dog. For those of you listening on audio, I'm sorry you can't see her, but you can see her on the YouTube channel. And today I have my friend Wyn Morgan with me. Hi, Wyn.
Hello, good to be here.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Guys, when I met Wyn, well, I'd seen him before because, we were in these classes together and I was kind of like spying on him and I knew he was there. But I actually got to meet him during Super Coach Academy last year, which Wyn is a mentor coach. It wasn't mine, but he's a mentor coach during I didn't get the chance to get coached by him yet. So Wyn, thank you for coming. Tell us a little bit, where you're from and what you do right now.
I'm from Wales in the United Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
I live right now, well, I have done. I've lived in this place for about 18 years. I'm just west of London. So I moved from Wales to England 25 years ago now.
Mm.
So that's where I am in the world. What I do, it's similar to you. I talk with people, either that they are in it for themselves in the conversations or with companies. So majority of my time is with corporations and to help them in whatever their next stage of their own evolution is, to become more successful, to have better relationships with their clients, their suppliers, their colleagues. So working with leaders and the people who look after their clients, drug customers and suppliers, and to help them. I'd imagine what would be the catch-all phrase would be help them get more out of their people and their people to love even more the fact that they work for that company. So those two things combined. And then when I'm working with private individuals, the ones who are funding their coaching with me directly, then that can be anything, whether that's about anxiety, whether that's about launching their business, whether they're a coach and they want to become a more impactful, successful coach, or anything they're looking for in life, really.
Mm. So essentially, you're talking to people, like whether it's corporations or individuals. We basically talk about the same thing, right? We kind of like, I don't know if it's your experience, but my experience is everybody wants harmony, and we want to feel good, basically, right? We humans, we don't like feeling bad, but unfortunately it's something that actually we have to go through, the feeling bad of stuff. And what's interesting is that it's so funny because one of the things that I saw lately, I was having a conversation with a friend, and one of the things that I saw lately is that in order for me to know that I don't want something, I have to go through the act of doing it. I'm going to give you an example. Just so I could be more concrete. I feel like I'm like talking about air. So it's like, it was kind of like, I don't even remember when I was having this. I hope it's not in the last podcast, but if it is, so be it. I was talking about how I didn't like lying or something to that effect, right? I didn't like lying. I did it, right? But I didn't like doing it because it made me feel bad, right? I was a pretty good liar for a while, until I got caught. I'm talking about younger, right? Like when I was a younger, and I was getting pretty good at lying, but my brain wasn't made to remember all the lies. Like my brain is not very good at memory. So like remembering all the lies was just too hard. And initially I stopped lying because of that. My brain was just couldn't remember. But at the core, I just didn't like it. I just didn't like lying. I didn't like how it made me feel. So that's how I kind of like just stopped.
Yeah.
I just stopped lying. So I had to go through it. I had to do it in order to know that doesn't work for me. Like I don't want that. So I find that interesting. Like, and it could be in anything. I mean, now I'm talking about lying, but it could be stealing. Like I've I've never stolen, but I knew for a fact younger that that just didn't work for me. I wasn't going to do that. I'm actually the kind of person who, like, when I go to the groceries and I get into my car and I figure out, oh, there was something in the thing that they didn't charge, I go back in and get it paid. I'm that kind of person. And so that's what I meant by you have to go through it in order to know for a fact what you truly want. So from your experience of all the people that you've been talking to, what's the thread? Like, what's the thing that's nearly always the same with everybody?
What's the same with everyone? I think we make things up.
Mm.
And we live as if they're true. And we don't know it. So, as an example, there could be somebody that I would talk to this week who might have had an experience where they were undercharged at the grocery store, went back in, paid. And then for the feeling of dread that I've unknowingly been undercharged or innocently taken something that I've not paid for because it's totally innocent, but then they might give themselves a hard time for it, even though they didn't put it right. And it's really interesting how often that feeling is pervasive and it runs a background noise in someone's life. But I think even more than I hear more about the unknown limitations people have put on themselves based on what they think. And I've seen this for myself, and I see it weekly, at least weekly, if not more frequently than that, that I have a story of me that I live by, but I don't realize that I made the story up. So I'm living in a world of a fiction of myself, and sometimes I then give myself a hard time for not living up to the expectations I've created unknowingly for myself. So I've set myself an arbitrary, made up standard, give myself a hard time for not reaching it and not realizing that all of those things came from my own imagination. So an example might be,
it's kind of like, yeah, go ahead.
So an example, and I saw it recently, that I thought until very recently that I shouldn't be annoyed by some people. So does it make sense that I get so annoyed by people? And then I realized a few days after I thought that, and I saw how I was getting annoyed by a lot of people and unknowingly thinking I shouldn't. I then saw, well, hang on, human beings get annoyed. And sometimes they're annoyed at other people. Why would I be any different to that? And since I noticed that it would be totally natural for me to get annoyed and sometimes annoyed by other people, I've become far more at peace with myself. Now, that kind of narrative and that example, I've noticed, runs quite deeply and pervasively and blindly in so many of us with so many different things.
Yeah, I get it. One of the things that I've studied in the past, I've studied letting go, letting go of stuff. I've studied that. And studying letting go led me to live in the now, right? And lately, following one of our coaching mastery calls, I've truly seen how the past doesn't exist, the future doesn't exist, and there's only now. And sometimes I can think fresh. Sometimes, when I'm coming from that space of there's only now, what about now? What do I want to do now? Kind of thing, and not go into this already made Jasmine, Jasmine, she thinks like this, and she says this, she can't say this, right? Like I have these, like you say, it's like, it's already there. It's running in the background. Something happened when I was 4. I decided this about me, and 51, and voila, I'm still that, and it's really interesting to look at things from that space. Look at, okay, well, how would I respond now? What did you just do? Did you just go on auto mode, Jazz? What did you just do? Right? And I find, like you said, I find there's a lot of peace in that space, because I don't have to live up to this person I made up. And like I said, my memory sucks, right? Because ever since I've been in this conversation of thinking fresh and stuff like that, I don't go back to my memory, right? And so since my memory sucks, sometimes, I'm supposed to be angry at somebody and I totally forgot why, right? And I'm like, okay, so now it's bringing me back to, being in this space, it's bringing me to, okay, why get angry? Like I do, but I can let that go much easier, much quicker now, going, it's really not worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Thinking fresh. There's that place also that I love to look at, is like, how can I have a new thought right now instead of having this old stale thinking that, one day I tried it and it worked, so let me repeat it over and over and over again, but the results will differ every time.
You know what I find fascinating in listening to you is what I can recognize for myself in a similar way. It's a different narrative, but the same kind of behind the scenes of the change that we notice. So we've all seen that it's a good idea to let go of the past. Resentment and all that kind of stuff's not great, and worrying about the future's not a great idea, yet we do it.
Yeah.
Even though we know it's a good idea not to. But here's what's fascinating. What changes a good idea to the no-brainer is seeing something fundamentally true about how we are as human beings. So when we realize that, in your example, well, this is a memory from when I was 4, it's 47 years ago, but it's no longer 47 years ago. I look at my calendar and today it says right now is 2021. It becomes obvious that there's nothing to let go of because it doesn't exist. So it's us that innocently go back and grab it.
Yeah.
But it becomes really easy to let go of something that doesn't exist. And when we see it doesn't exist, the heavy lifting's done, the work's done. While we will still fall for it, we will still go back, and I still do have feelings that are evoked from probably repeated thinking from years ago, but less and less. Because the feeling you talk about, the stale feeling of that is now informing me that I'm living in an illusion more and more, without the perfection of never going there, right? Because I'm human and I will have some thinking about me and some thinking about the past that can crop up. But I love the fact that we can notice that when we see the truth of there is no past and no future, it's always now. It's always now. Then living in the now becomes a darn sight easier when we know that's the only thing that exists. But we have to see that first for that to be more of what we do. So in the conversation that we had about, well, why do people do what people do? It's what makes sense to them in the moment. But what makes sense to them in the moment will be hugely informed by each individual's understanding of what's going on in their head. And if I've learned to pay less attention to the stale old news that is actually my thinking right now in this moment that appears real and appears from a long time ago, but it's always my now thinking replaying itself, then what's possible is a lot more fresh.
Yeah, the seeing of it makes the whole difference, right? It's like we can see the words, or we can see what's happening. You know, when I talk to friends, or when I talk to clients even, you know, like it's kind of like, well, I'm going to make up something because I don't have a concrete example, but I'm going to say, okay, something like, you're withholding something and it's in the way of you being free, for example, right? So they're like focusing on something. They're focusing on the words. So like there's you're withholding, and the withholding is in the way, but they're looking at what it is that they're withholding. You know, so they're not seeing that it's the withhold, right? It's like once you truly see, oh shit, it's this. All of a sudden it's like, what was that? I was talking to a girlfriend the other day, and she called me and she was like, I am so angry. And she's like, I can't let it go and I can't sleep. And this is like, it's been lasting for days and da 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 da. And she was like really, you know, riled up and all of this. And I was like, okay, I said, are you resisting the feeling, or are you just feeling the feeling? Because, you know, the feeling is going to go away. No, the feeling is not going to go away. I said, can you remember the feeling? Like, you think it's because of somebody else, but can you live it up? You know, can you wake it up? And she says, I can feel the feeling right away. I said, okay, feel the feeling. So see, I'm feeling it now. I said, okay, feel it thoroughly. Where is it in your body? So I kind of like played with her, and she was like, it's here, it's there. And and I was like, what about now? So about 2 minutes of playing with that, she's like, oh, you know what? It's gone. I said, I told you it was going to go. And she was like, but I can make it come back. I said, okay, make it come back. And she was like, wait. She couldn't make it come back. She just couldn't make it come back because she had lived through it. It was kind of like once she went through the whole thing, she was like, oh, the next day she sent me a message saying, can't believe it. I slept through the day, through the night, It's like, just feel stuff, people. Just feel it. That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
I wonder why we weren't called human feelings instead of human beings.
I know.
It's like we can feel it in our bodies. Like before we talked, I told you I was like rebooting my computer, and my computer is like, it's a quick computer. I'm supposed to go restart, and it's supposed to go beep, beep. That's it, And now it's like 5 minutes. And I was like, starting to have anxiety. Well, I was just like projecting. I was just like, I had made up, the computer is broken. I need to buy a new one. But when I need to buy a new one, I need to get a good one. And if I get a good one, it's going to cost a lot of money. And it was just like, it was just like a whole bunch of course, thoughts that I had already thought before. And then the end result of I couldn't. And then if I can't, well, then I can't have coaching calls and record podcasts. And if I can't do that, then I can't work. And if I can't work, and he like, okay, calm down, girl. Go relax. It's okay.
I think that's a beautiful example of what we do. Innocently, unknowingly, we make up the future and live in the feeling of a future that we didn't know we made up.
Yeah. But see, I knew that it was like, it's fine.
Yeah.
You
like, messaged me, and even in the subtext of reading your messages, oh, she knows it's good.
Yeah. It was kind of like, it's like, I'm feeling it, but I could feel it. I could feel the anxiety like looming. It was like, I was like, no, you ain't coming. It doesn't matter. Right now in this moment, I don't know if the computer is broken. I'm not going to start freaking out about it. But it's fun that inside this conversation that we're having, we're able to slow it down and really look at what it is that occurs. Now, people listening in, I hope you're not going, well, this doesn't happen to me, right? Because you're looking at the specificity of computer breakdown. We're not talking about the computer breakdown. We're talking about the speed at which one thought creates another creates a bodily effect, and then creates how you react to the world. I love talking about my come from, where I'm coming from. And I know that sometimes I'm coming from stress that I've created, whatever I'm reacting to. I'm coming from that space of I'm stressed. You're going to get the result of how I feel when I'm stressed. Right? Or sometimes I'm coming from all is well. There's nothing wrong with nothing. Everything is completely perfect, just the way it is and just the way it is not. I love that space.
What have you noticed then? What have you seen or realized that has helped you live in that space more?
I think I think the biggest thing I've realized is that everything I made up was always way, 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 way worse than anything that actually was.
Mm.
Like I could make up like such crazy scenarios. I'm very creative in my mind. I'm very creative. And I could make up really, really bad shit. and and I could just see, you know, I don't know if I should say this in the podcast, but I'm going to say it anyways.
The great thing about you being the host, you can edit.
I can, yeah, but I don't edit. See, that's the thing. I'm like, no, I'm not going to edit people. So you're getting the authentic thing.
Dear listeners, you are getting the real behind the scenes of Jasmine right now. Get ready.
Exactly. So one of the things that I was very anxious. I was like pre this understanding, I was very anxious. And the anxiety would show up in my body. And it would show up in the form where I had to go to the bathroom. So when that's how powerful it was. Like in my opinion, that's for me, that's like, I was like, I'm a powerful thinker. I can like make my body do stuff. And one day I was having the event. I was having an event, an anxiety event. And I remember being in the bathroom. That's the part I didn't want to share. But I was in the bathroom, guys, and I'm sitting there and I had like this moment of seeing what was happening, that I was in the bathroom for a reason that wasn't there. Like it's almost like I brought myself into the present in a fraction of a second, and I saw that nothing I made up was happening. And I instantly stopped being in pain.
Wow.
Like it was instantaneous. And I was like, that like really launched me inside this conversation. Like I'm like, I'm gonna teach this. I'm gonna show people this is how powerful you are.
You know, in listening to you, I mean, that's an amazing story and an amazing realization that you had. A lot of people have realizations on the bathroom, not only for that reason, but we often do because it's contemplative sometimes to be there. But here's what I really loved in that realization that you just shared, is that you saw how creative you were as opposed to how nuts you were. Because there would be some people who had the realization, wait a minute, I've made this all up. Now it's not this situation's fault. It's my head. There's something wrong with me now, not the stuff in the world. And if anyone is in that situation that they think that they are to blame for going to the bathroom for an event that isn't happening, your body is wiser than you might give it credit for. When we are that afraid, going to the bathroom is what the human body does. It's good because we move faster when we have got less in it. It makes complete biological sense to avoid the body when we are that afraid, to go away from what is genuinely there. It makes all the sense in the world. So we're not nuts. We all are innocently making up things that aren't there. We are all that creative. And the only thing that's happening is our thinking looks real to us. That's for everyone. That's 7.8 billion people every single day of every life that's ever lived. That's how we are as human beings. So there's no blame. You're not getting anything wrong if you think that what you think's true and is actually happening. That's how we all are. But if we just get a glimpse, as you did, a realization, but even if we don't see it that fundamentally massive in the way that you saw it in the bathroom that day, if we just get a glimpse, a suspicion that maybe this is my creative imagination doing what a human creative imagination does, and it's making me feel low, or it's making me feel anxious, or it's making me feel insecure, or whatever your least favorite feeling about yourself is or about life is. I don't live like this, but I know what I'm about to say is true. Any bad feeling I have about me is a myth. Totally mythical. I have made something up because there can't be anything wrong with me, you, or anyone listening to this, or anyone else who could possibly listen to this. You said it earlier on that everything is perfect. We are perfectly human, but that does not mean perfect. It means human. Human beings make stuff up and live as if it's real. It's how we are. And if we cut ourselves some slack and get a little bit suspicious over feeling bad about ourselves, and notice the potential truth in what all the mystics have said, that we are energy and stardust colliding in this amazing, conscious, temporary experience called life. It's a heck of a thing to realize. We can't get that experience wrong, because it's all an experience. And if there's a glimpse in that, that can be everything. Because I remember getting a glimpse into that at some point in 2012, and it affected me in a way that 9 years later I can't really describe. But my life is very different, and I'm forever grateful.
Yeah, it's very different, yet it's the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's also something super cool. Like everything's different, but everything's the same. And it's like, huh? It's kind of like a mind, kind of thing going, huh? Everything's different, yet everything's the same. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Once you've had that experience, you get it.
You do, because it changes our relationship. Our inner world has got a different relationship with the world out there, or form of stuff, of things. And if we see through fresh eyes, of course everything's going to look different, even though it hasn't changed.
Yeah. Wow.
Miraculous and beautiful.
Yeah. Well, everyone, I hope that you've enjoyed this chat as much as I have.
Me too.
So to finish the podcast, the episode, guys, I'm gonna have you listen to a pre-recorded segment of my friend Amy and I talking about eating what you want and calories and stuff like that. So it's just a little bit of a different conversation than Wyn and I are having, but you'll have fun. Hello there. We are on the segment Eat What You Want. So if you're for the first time listening to one of these, well, it's my friend Amy Crippen, a nurse, people. This is a nurse, a holistic nurse that talks about this stuff, man. So Amy, hi, how are you today?
I'm great. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. So this week you sent me a messenger and you said, Jasmine, we got to talk about this. Like, I need to tell people. So what was it you wanted to talk about? These people are lying to us?
I sent you a TED Talk with it's I can't remember the researcher's name, so I apologize for not remembering his name, but it was just essentially talking about how deceptive our food marketing is, right? And our food labels too. And so many diets are focused on like that calories in, versus calories out, so like to lose weight, it's a mathematical equation. You have to, just deprive yourself of 1,000 calories a week and that equals a pound,
I know. I don't know how many times I heard that one.
Yeah. And the thing is like the actual food labels, like I'm in the US, so I'm not sure what it's like in Canada,
Right.
we're talking about the FDA, but they can have like a 20% margin of error. They don't have to put everything that's in the food, right? So they don't have to list every ingredient. They just have to list the most frequent. In the US, they list like sugar and sodium and like some trace elements. They list basically the things that can affect your health the most. So like sodium can cause like hypertension and some other cardiovascular diseases, and sugar could be with like diabetes. So they only label those types of things. So that's really interesting. But 20% margin of error, either over or under, meaning like are you measuring it out? Are you getting a scale? Are you like literally mathematically measuring it out? And then what do you do if you're hungry still? Do you say like, no, like I can't eat anymore?
Well,
and that's why
I know a lot of people, that's what they do.
Yeah.
I mean, I worked with ladies that's what they did. I counted my calories today and I'm over, I'm not going to eat anymore, yet they wanted to eat their desk.
Yeah, I've been in lunchrooms like that too, where I'm on a diet and they'll come and they'll bring the smallest salad, right, with like the littlest amount of things to go in the salad, and like this is all I'm eating, and then like a week later, I mean, like it's over because they're like ravishing hungry, and that's, calories are not the same, right? Like I have a calorie meal, 500 calories. I have 500 calories and say it's like nachos and cheese and salsa versus, I don't know, like a different type of snack would be like peanut butter and apples, and say it's the same amount of calories. The difference is the amount of fiber, right? Like that's in an apple. It's one ingredient, so it's an apple. You don't need to read the nutrition label for it. If you get peanut butter, that's just like just peanut butter, like just crushed peanuts, these types of things are ways that we can be mindful in our choices, and we're giving our bodies what they need. They need that dense nutrition, it's not really the number of calories, it's getting the good nutrition in.
Yeah, but what if I'm not getting just the crushed nuts? What if I'm having just an apple and peanut butter? Just like, forget what kind of peanut butter, just peanut butter.
Yeah, and I would say, that's fine. I wouldn't say like, oh, you have to get really, really about all of it, It is better to get just natural ingredients if that's possible, if that's in your budget. Some of these things aren't in people's budget.
Tell me about that. Why is that important? Tell me about it.
It's the way that they process the type of foods and the type of ingredients that they put into, and it really just depends on the brand and what you're looking at. But to extend the shelf life to enhance the flavor. A lot of peanut butter has like, what is it called? The dehydrated oil, which increases our cholesterol,
Okay.
versus just the natural peanut oils that occur, in the peanuts themselves.
So,
And
so what would be better would be for us to have peanuts, but like just, so if we're not willing to, and I'm saying this because I'm talking about me, I'm talking about me here. You're not willing to get rid of your peanut butter, but you want to still eat, healthy. I could have an apple and nuts.
Yeah, you certainly could. I love like apple and nuts and cheese. Like I'll have that on a plate and it's like a well-rounded snack. I'm getting multiple food groups in one sitting,
Yeah.
and it's going to keep me fuller longer than an item that doesn't have the same type of nutritional value to it, which is the driving force for us to eat, right?
Yeah.
And it's not to say like, don't eat nachos, don't eat these other things. It's being mindful of like attuning to those nutritional needs. You can kind of feel it, like when I eat off balance for too long, I'm kind of like, all right, I'm feeling it, like I'm not feeling as energetic. I'm not feeling as,
yeah, but I like that what you're saying because, of course I've heard it before, it's not like I've never listened or talked about this or read stuff, but sometimes it's just like, yeah, but I don't want to. I don't want to. If I'm going to eat peanut butter, I'm going to eat my peanut butter. But if you're telling me, well, Jasmine, forget the peanut butter, nuts are good, then that gives me, because I like nuts.
mm-hmm.
I do like nuts. So, and I'm okay with, of course I like to have the almonds and dipped in all of that good stuff, but I'm fine with raw almonds. Like I'm noticing that I'm fine with raw almonds, and that is natural, right? Like if I get a raw almond, that's a natural thing. There's nothing added to that. Well, that's actually a question. Like, do they add stuff to it?
That's why reading the labels are really important, just like pick it up, look at it in the back, because there are peanut butters that are made that don't have all of that processed stuff. Normally they're going to label it natural,
Yeah.
But you still actually want to read it because there aren't a lot of regulations on what they can call natural. And one of my favorite examples of this was like, I got some flavored like sparkling water. I like flavored sparkling water. And it's like natural flavors and other natural flavors. I was like, why are there natural flavors and other natural flavors? Like which one's natural? I don't even know. And so that's just something to be mindful is if there's a lot of things out there with like eat organic, don't eat organic, and it gets really confusing.
I know. Well, actually, I'm already confused because when we started the clip, you were saying, that these labels lie, and then you're telling me to read the labels. So can you clarify
Oh, yeah.
a little bit for me?
Yeah. Well, so what is on the label, those things are in there, that they're listing them, and you can read things that you would want to try to just be mindful of in your diet. Is there another option on this shelf? I'm getting peanut butter. Do I want to grab the peanut butter that has things that I can't read in it, or do I want to grab the peanut butter that says natural and I look at the back and I go, oh, okay, it just says oil and peanuts, 2 ingredients. I'll get that one. Maybe it's 30 cents more, but it's worth it for our bodies. Our bodies are worth 30 cents, like they really are.
The key is the amount of ingredients.
Yeah, the amount of ingredients is a really good way to like simplify it. It really is. If you can pronounce what's on the back of the label.
Also.
Yeah. The thing that what I think I'm pointing to the most is like, don't count calories. Listen to your body.
Okay.
Yeah. And
So
try to stick with things that feel good.
Yeah,
You
don't
know?
look at the labels for the calories. Look at what the ingredients are, and then just notice what it does to your body when you're eating it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I say, stick with that if you can read the ingredients and, you know, be mindful of the sodium levels and the sugar for the most part. Those are easy ways to decrease, you know, just decrease health risks, you know.
Well, let's look at it this way. Those are good ways to increase your health.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, grabbing the other thing, it increases your health. I like that. Optimize your health, right?
Well, Amy, thank you so much.
Yes, of course.
To our next clip, because we said we were going to talk about snacks. So people, I made a special request. She's going to talk to us about snacks. So come back next time, and that's what we'll talk about. Thank you, Amy.
Yes, thank you. Bye.
I want to thank you so much for being there.
No, my pleasure. My pleasure.
And yeah, so I'm going to let you go with that, and you take care of yourself and continue your stuff. I'm going to put all your links in the description. And when is your podcast? Your podcast is called Under the Noise. Yeah, we had Kate just the other day. Yeah. So do you have a website link for Under the Noise, or?
Yeah, I'll get you the link to Podbean, which was more recommendations, so that'll be there too.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. You have a good day, and everyone, dream it, dare it, do it. Live the life you want. Bye.